In today's video, this vehicle is getting a body lift because stock height is for grocery runs and we like to go on adventures. But not everything went according to plan, as you'll see in this video. Before we get started on the lift, this is what the 4Runner looks like with 35-inch tires and zero suspension lift. And these are the polyurethane 2-inch spacers that we will be sticking between the body and the frame. And the first thing I'm going to do is remove all the bolts on the driver's side. Using impact definitely helps, but it is not necessary for this job. Next, we're going to pull up the rear trim, pull back the carpet, and we're going to use a skateboard to hold the carpet down. Then we're going to pull the plastic panel away, and there's going to be like a little rubber boot down here. That reveals the top bolt right here for the back left body mount, and there's going to be one more on the opposite side over here. I'm only going to record the left half because the right half is going to be identical. The theme for this is going to be pulling back panels and pushing carpet out of the way, just so we can get to the top halves of these bolts. And here is another rubber plug. You're going to find a couple more of these along the way. This is probably the easiest bolt to get to. 2 panels out of the way, pull the carpet back, and out it comes. And this is the very last bolt that goes in the front. It is okay to use a hammer on these because we're not planning on reusing these bolts. Once all of those bolts are loose, you can now raise the body and lift it away from the frame. And now for this kit, it wants you to leave this rubber bushing in place and to stick the polyurethane spacer right on top of that. All of the body mount bolts are going to look just like that. To help align it up, I'm going to take the bolt and push it through the bottom, so that way it lines up straight with the hole on the top, and then it'll just drop it right down into place where you need it to go. Before we make anything tight, let's drop the body so its weight is sitting directly on top of the frame, and then give the car a good shake up and down so that way everything will settle. Lucky for us on these 3rd Gen 4Runners, you can take this off of the bottom of the fan shroud, and then your fan no longer touches anything, because when I lifted up that side, the fan could no longer spin with this thing on there. And don't forget to make everything nice and tight. The next step of this is to remove the steering intermediate shaft, so that way we can split it apart in half and install the 2-inch aluminum spacer. This is necessary because the body is lifting away from the frame and the steering components, and without this, the steering would be really tight, possibly bind up, and could become a dangerous driving situation, but this solves that problem. It'll be as good as new. That additional 2-inch body lift gave me the clearance that I needed to run 35-inch tires without doing a suspension lift. So before I could even take the vehicle off-road and test to see how it could do, I immediately took it out to dinner with my wife. We were headed over to Longhorn Steakhouse, and believe it or not, this happened. We got this heater bypass valve that broke. I think that's from the body lift. It was just pulling so much tension on there. We got the new heater control valve installed on here. And if I just let it sit in its relaxed position, it doesn't want to go up to the factory hole. I pull it off and it just falls immediately. So I'm just gonna pick a spot that feels kind of comfortable for it, so that way the hose doesn't stretch and break anything again. Which feels good right about here. I'm gonna drill some new holes and set it in place. All right, we got this thing bolted in place. I feel pretty good about that. I don't see it breaking again. So this wall right here is kind of like a little testing ground that we'll use. The last time I came out here, I had 31-inch tires, and I would have to use my locker to get up this. It would flex more than it could. One tire would come off the ground, and it wouldn't move anywhere. So I'm gonna attempt to drive up it without a locker. Oh man, that is so easy. So when you're modifying your vehicle, you never know what's gonna happen. And in this case, we almost lost an engine. I could have sworn that it had blown head gaskets or lost compression. This thing's temperature gauge was buried into the red, and I was for sure thinking that I was gonna have to replace it or do a full rebuild. So be very careful. If you do a body lift, check all your hoses, brake lines, vacuum lines. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on more content like this. I'm gonna continue to modify this vehicle so it gets just to the right sweet spot that I can take this thing anywhere off-road without the tires rubbing.